In 1919, the Japanese colonial administration used a vast bureaucratic system to systematically document and suppress every sign of rebellion on the Korean peninsula. That spring, millions of Koreans joined a wave of public protests, risking imprisonment to demand an end to Japanese rule. At the center of the movement was this document, the Declaration of Independence. A key organizer was a Methodist minister named Reverend Choi Sung-mo. His name is recorded here as one of 33 national representatives who signed the manifesto and accepted the consequences. The retaliation was documented immediately. These court records from Gyeongsang show authorities processing his arrest for violations of the Colonial Security and Publication Acts. By 1920, the appellate court finalized his sentence, 2 years of imprisonment on charges of civil war and disturbance. Decades later, the Republic of Korea recognized his role in the nation's founding, posthumously awarding him the 1962 Presidential Medal. But while the Korean state began to preserve his name in its archives, his actual descendants were moving further away, eventually losing their physical connection to the land where he was buried. Today, the Patriot's bloodline resides in the United States. His grandson, Sunil Choi, is part of a family that has lived decades across the Pacific. A century defined by partition, a brutal civil war, and international migration has scattered the physical evidence connecting family to their ancestor. This project is an attempt to use these fragmented records, located on 2 different continents, to reconstruct a family history that was severed by time and geography. To find where the legacy was lost, we have to start with the physical ground where Reverend Choi was originally laid to rest. For generations, the Choi family's ancestral burial land was located on a mountain in Gyeohyan-ri, Yeongju. As the region modernized, the mountain was redesignated, shifting from a site of private memory to a highly restricted zone for military defense. Family members recall that approximately 70,000 pyong of this land was taken by the state during the authoritarian period of the 1980s. Public records confirmed the result of that transition. Reverend Choi's original grave was eventually surrounded by the fencing and railroad tracks of a Republic of Korea Army training facility. Because the land was now an active military site, the family could no longer freely maintain the grave or carry out traditional ancestral rites. In 2006, the state relocated Reverend Choi's remains to a national cemetery, providing a permanent place of honor for the Patriot. With the ancestral land closed off and the grave moved, the family's connection to Reverend Choi's legacy would have to survive entirely within the diaspora. That survival took root in Leonia, New Jersey. Sunil Choi established Sam-mi Oriental Groceries on Broad Avenue, helping to build a foundation for early Korean immigrant entrepreneurship in the region. For the Chois, the grocery store was more than a business. It was the site where they established their new community in America. But in 1989, that community was targeted. Racist flyers were distributed outside a church renting space to a Korean congregation. The flyers were signed by the Sons of Liberty, a name used while threatening the descendants of an actual independence fighter. The family and the local community responded by demanding cultural understanding and pushing for civic inclusion in their new home. These grocery store records and local newspaper clippings form a second archive, showing the same refusal to be intimidated in New Jersey that was first demonstrated in Korea 70 years earlier. Reconnecting these 2 stories requires a new effort to prove the family's lineage in the present day. This process involves reconciling traditional Jeonju Choi clan registries with modern U.S. naturalization records and decades of name variations across 2 languages. This documentation is required by the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs, which maintains strict standards for verifying a family's formal link to the National Patriots file. Archival reconciliation is the only way to officially close the 100-year gap between the recognized hero and his grandson. The reassembly of this history leads to a planned delegation to Korea in 2027. This is an institutional partnership designed to preserve diaspora memories alongside state records as part of Korea's broader cultural heritage. The ultimate destination for the family is Daejeon National Cemetery, where Reverend Choi is now honored. As the nation and the diaspora prepare to reunite at his gravesite, the focus shifts from what was lost to what Korea and its people can finally preserve together.